Okay, so hi everyone. This is our second topic with with module number 6. So still part pa rin siya ng A World of Ideas, but this time we will be discussing about the globalization of religion. Okay, so when we say religion class, it actually plays a vital role in the lives of Filipinos. For us, it is actually values, okay? Kumbaga, values of the Filipinos were anchored in our religion. That's why we can say that it really affected the attitudes, okay, the characters, and the perspectives of the Filipinos, okay, in their life. And this is actually truth, not exclusive to Filipinos, but of course, it is also true to most of the former third world, okay? Yung mga developing countries and even in the West, okay? So, globalization can refer to the worldwide interconnectedness of all areas of contemporary social life. So one of the areas is the religion, okay, which uh, it entails a personal or organized system of religious beliefs and practices. Okay, that's why globalization has affected religion in various ways. Okay, it paved the way to the rise of religious nationalism, okay, the turn of religion into public life, and the proliferation of international terrorism, and of course, the increase of individuals' religiosity. Okay, now let's first define religion. So when we say religion, it is a collection of cultural system or belief systems and worldviews, okay, that establishes symbols that relate humanity to spirituality and to moral values. So here, when we say religion, the belief in a god or in a group of gods, okay? So it is an organized system of beliefs, ceremonies, and rules used to worship a god or a group of gods, okay? And informal, when we say religion, it is an interest, okay? A belief or an activity that is very important to a person or group. And when we say religion, we have actually different religion all over the world. Just like, for example, the image, okay, in the slide, the Christianity, uh, the Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and we also have what we call the Taoism, the Shinto, and the Sikhism. Okay, so those are examples of different religion we have all over the world. So when we talk about religion also and globalization on religion, there are actually effects of globalization on religion. So here we have 7. The first is the rise to religious nationalism. So globalization class gave rise to religious nationalism. Okay, uh, this actually the nationalism was actually closely associated with particular religious beliefs and affiliations. So, an example class, for example, here in the Philippines, for example, crafting the law is sometimes anchored on the lawmaker's belief in Christianity. Ang pinakang example is in year 2018, di ba, a National Bible Day was declared as a special working holiday. Okay, so that is what we mean by religious nationalism, a rise to religious nationalism. And another example is when Islam okay, ruled states in the Middle East. Okay, similarly, they are influenced by practices of Islam. Okay, and that is also an example of rise to religious nationalism. Then the next one is the turn of religion into public life. Okay, so globalization led to the turn of religion into public life. So how? So nangyari class the often forceful entrance of religious traditions, di ba? For example, the Catholic liberation theology and the Islamic fundamentalism, di ba? From private sphere into public life, okay? So ang nangyayari kasi class is that this is not all about religion na lang, okay? So, according to Casanova, 1994, okay, a good example of this is yung tinatawag nga nating Catholic liberation theology, okay, and Islamic fundamentalism. Here, religion rather goes beyond the administration of sacraments, okay, for Catholic, and it focuses more on the social concerns of the poor and the oppressed inside and outside the church. Kumbaga, this globalization has turned religion into public life in a way that the church is not just only for religious activities, but of course they are now having sympathy, or they are now focusing on the social concerns. Okay, so kasama nga dyan yung kumbaga pagkakaroon nila ng pakikialam when it comes to the oppressed and poor people inside and outside the church. Okay, so they are now extending their hands. Then the next is the proliferation of international terrorism. Okay, so here globalization affected proliferation of international terrorism. So, for example, class is the religious extremism. Okay, uh, international terrorism and religious extremism, okay, they are actually related. Okay, so when we say religious extremism, it is a type of political violence, okay, anchored on the belief that a supreme being grants violence in the act of glorifying one's faith. Okay, so according to Martin, 2017, it has actually become a central issue that were being faced by the global community. Okay. So, class, when you say extremist, okay, sila yung they are actually the one who believe that it is their duty to fulfill God's will, okay, through violence, okay? So, kaya nagkaroon ng tinatawag na religious extremism because of those believers, okay, that their duty to fulfill God's will is through violence, okay? So, example here is during the year of 2017 when the ISIS, or the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, okay, which is known as an extremist group, okay, they triggered the locals of Mindanao. Okay, I don't know if you are familiar with that. So the ISIS triggered the locals of Mindanao to launch the Marawi siege for 5 months, and that is because of this what we call religious extremism. Okay, then another one is what we call the increase of individual religiosity. Okay, so globalization prompted this. Okay, and it brought about by the individual's need to rely on his or her beliefs and his or her relationship with the supreme being. Okay, so it is actually a reaction. Okay, based on one's frustration towards institutionalized religion. So, kumbaga, this pertain to the people who who do not want to belong or to engage in any organization. So, kaya nagkakaroon ng increase of individual religiosity. religiosity. Then the next is the what we call the territorialization of religion. So this one, actually, class, the global migration, okay, has something to do when it comes in influencing religion. And because of this migration, the globalization has forced the appearance of religious traditions in places, okay, where this actually had been largely unknown or considered a minority. Okay, so kaya nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na deterritorialization of religion. Okay, so when you say deterritorialization of religion, class, it is a cultural feature that blurs the lines between culture and place. Okay, kaya nagkakaroon kumbaga ng transcends territorial boundaries. Okay? So, this is highly characteristic of migration amidst globalization. Okay? So, that is what we mean by the territorialization. Then, we have what we call the Easternization of the West, which is also one of the effects of globalization on religion. Uh, According to Campbell, 2007, the global migration also resulted the Easternization of the West. Okay, so si global migration rin ang may gawa nito. So again, class, when you say global migration, di ba, it is the way or process wherein people are going from one places to another. Okay, so here, the Easternization of the West, okay, the West, which is actually the starting point for the spread of world religions, is now the recipient of a new system of beliefs from the East, okay? So, kumbaga, ano ngayon, there is now a rise in the number of believers of Asian religions, okay? So, like the Confucianism, the Buddhism, and the Taoism, okay? So, that is the Easternization of the West. Then, the global trends and impulses, okay? Um, the religion is influenced by this, okay? So, the global trends and impulses is forced to respond to newfound situations, okay? So one good example of this is the use of social media, okay? The social media is being used as a tool, for example, for evangelization. So, example class, the American evangelist, okay, si Joel Scott Austin and Kirk Thomas Cameron, okay, they make use of Facebook and other social media platforms to spread their beliefs, okay? So, kumbaga, they made a global and borderless reach through the social media, okay? And another example is the call for ecumenism, okay, among the Christian churches, diba, to have closer relationships and better recognition. So that is global trends and impulses. Okay, and we are now actually experiencing also, okay, the effects of globalization on religion. So if you look on YouTube, you can actually see different religions, okay, and these different religions are doing different activities, okay, in order for them to disseminate their religion or their religious beliefs, okay, and that is the global trends and impulses. The next, we have actually a four model distinct of globalization. That is according to Rodomotov 2014. Okay, so we have vernacularization, indigenization, nationalization, and transnationalization. So when we say vernacularization class, it only refers to the blending, okay? The blending of universal religions with local religions, okay? For example, class, the Arabic, which is used as Islam's sacred language, now it is now being used even outside the Arab world, okay? So that is the blending of universal religion religions with local languages. Okay? Then the indigenization, okay? When we say indigenization naman, class, this one transforms a universal religion to suit the specifics of a particular ethnic group. Okay. So, an example class is the practice, for example, of Islam by various ethnic groups in the Zamboanga Peninsula. Okay. So, that is how the blending of Islam is now being suited, okay, with the ethnic groups in Zamboanga Peninsula. Okay. So, kumbaga, religion is now being shared, okay, in some particular ethnic group. And that is what we mean by indigenization. Then we have nationalization. So this one class constructs a link, okay, between the nation and the church. So here in nationalization, religious institutions relate to national identities and the realities of that nation. Okay? So here, for example, in the Philippines, diba, being part of the nation means that we actually belong to our national church. Okay? So the Philippine Independent Church, an independent Christian denomination, is an example of a national church in the Philippines. Okay? Kumbaga here people uh, tend to add national modifiers to their religious identification. Okay, so that is nationalization. Then when we say transnationalization, okay, so the transnationalization has complemented religious nationalization uh, by focusing groups on identifying specific religious traditions of real or even imagined national homelands. Okay, so here one good example of this is the Iglesia ni Cristo. Okay, so this Christian organization is national in scope, but it has an international reach that it is easily identified as Filipino in its roots and central authority. So that is an example of transnationalization. Okay, so globalization of religion actually brought two opposing results. We have conflict, and the other one is peace. Okay, so religion class has been a source of global conflict and peace. So if you are reading some international news stories for example, a global mass media giants, you can easily read or observe that religion plays a role in global conflict. Okay? So, nandiyan yung mga news about Britain, diba? Wherein Muslims were linked to the jihadist attack that was June 2017, okay, on the London Bridge. Okay, so they are actually the one who attacked at the London Bridge during that time. And the Jewish extremists, okay, in Israel, okay, were accused of targeting and beating the Palestinians in same year, okay, that was also in 2017. Again, when we say extremists, okay, these are uh, group of people who believe that it is their duty to fulfill God's will through violence. Okay? So, yun yung tinutukoy nating extremists. And also, um, according to Georgian's mayor, okay, so according to Georgian's mayor 2014, okay, according to him, conflicts are about identity and economics and privilege power. Okay, so let's have an example. Okay, for example, when Osama bin Laden's attack on the World Trade Center in year 2001, it was triggered by the American exploitation of the oil reserves of the Middle East, diba? And But yung mga jihadist warriors, okay, they carried out the attack for they were willing to be martyred in the name of Allah, okay? So, the Marawi city siege, okay, diba, in which the ISIS or the multi-group alliance was responsible, okay? It is actually the small group's quest for Bangsamoro, okay, identity and power over its exclusive jurisdiction. So that is according to Georgian's mayor, that conflicts are about identity and economics and privilege and power. So despite these events, it is unjust to point at religion as the sole cause of global conflicts. Okay, so remember that religions were primarily established to put God's will in fruition. Okay, however nga lang, there are persons responsible for the conflicts. Okay, use their religious doctrines, dogmas, and even sacred verses to morally justify their evil actions. Okay? So, yun. But the main point here, class, is not the global conflicts, okay? But the role of religion in these conflicts, okay? So, the extremists believe that radical measures are necessary in achieving the will of God. Okay, so that's why they act moderately. Okay, it means they abandon the supreme being's will. Okay, so the fundamentalists believe that men ought to return, okay, to the very passages of the sacred books, of course, to legitimize their actions. Then yung mga nationalists naman, they tie their traditions with their nation or homeland, okay? And any threat is a threat to their identity, power, privilege, and rights, okay? So that is globalization about the conflicts. So, according to Georgian's Mayor 2014, okay, he also believes that there are 5 stages of global religious rebellion, okay, against the secular state, okay? So these are the revolt against secularism, then the internationalization of religious rebellion, then we have also the global war, okay? Then we also have the invention of global enemies and the religious dimensions of post-Arab Spring. Okay? So when we say revolt against secularism, Eddie, this is wherein localized uprisings go up against the state's less moral authority to govern. Then when it comes to internationalization of religious naman, the warfare uh, comes between the religious and secular politics. Then the global war, okay, kumbaga there is an expansion of range and depth of conflict between the secular and religious forces, okay? Then the invention of global enemies, wherein the anti-American and anti-European sentiments are growing here, okay? Then the religious dimensions of post-Arab Spring, okay, it means that there is an expansion of range and depth, or rather, the jihadi strategy is proven to be not the way to end the struggle, but with the use of non-violent means as demonstrated in the Tahrir Square in Egypt. Okay, so those are the 5 stages of global religious rebellion. Okay, so here, religion as a source of peace. Okay, so the teachings of great religions on moral principles and values are necessary tools for the lessening of avarice, okay, abhorrence, and illusions that are the root causes of conflicts. Okay, so class, remember that religion is not only a source of conflict, but religion is also a source of peace, and it plays a vital role in man's search for world peace. Okay, So the teachings of great religions on moral principles and values, just like what I've mentioned, are really necessary. Okay? So sabi nga, religion touches the inner self of humans and it encourages them to improve themselves and the society. Okay. Example of this class, when we talk about the source of peace, is the World Vision, for example. Okay. World Vision is actually a Christian humanitarian organization helping children, families, and communities overcome poverty and injustice. Okay? So, yun. For example, di ba, si Pope Francis, okay, di ba, in year 2014, Pope Francis had actually an important role in the US-Cuba deal that ended the long conflict between the two nation states. Okay? So, that is, faith-centered mediation is really driven by the search for peace. Okay, so that is the religion as a source of peace. Now, class, the question is, what is the relation of religion to globalization? Okay. According to the Book of Aldama 2018, globalization has played an enormous role in providing the context for the revival and the recovery of religion. Okay. So, sabi nga, religions have spread and scattered all over the world. And through globalization, religion continue to grow from places to places. Okay. When we say globalization, it is the networking and expansion of one's local products, beliefs, and practices, often through technology. And when we say religion, it is a systems of socially shared symbols, beliefs, and rituals that is directed toward a sacred supernatural realm and addresses the ultimate meaning of existence. Okay? As you can see in the picture, those are the symbols of different religion. Okay? Okay. This one, okay, this one. That is actually the Star of David, and it symbolizes Judaism. Okay, then this one, the crescent and the star. This is the Islam, and of course, this one, the Latin cross, is for Christianity, and the yin and yang na tinatawag, that is for Taoism. Okay, so those are some symbols of different religion. Okay. Here, class, these are actually some examples of religion in the world. So, as I mentioned, we have Christianity, okay, the Islam, then Hinduism, and the Buddhism. And there are a lot of different religions but that we have all over the world. Okay, we have also the Shinto and the Sikhism. Okay, as I mentioned earlier from the sa mga previous slides. So religion has entered the information age and has globalized at accelerating rates through technological advancement. Okay, so technological advancement in terms of information technologies, transport means, and the media. Okay, class. So these are the bridges to disseminate religious ideas. Example, there are different websites that provide information about religion, di ba? This actually give important information and explanation about different religion which are accessible to any part of the world. So that's why you are now or you can now see different religious ideas and different religious activities, okay, in the media, okay, especially sa social media. And tools of uniting people all over the world on religious basis. So we have special internet sites, social networks, cell phone apps, charity funds, movies, and even in religious schools and books. Okay, so uh, the internet allows people to contact each other easily worldwide. Okay, that's why it actually allows religious ideas to spread. So the media plays a significant role in dissemination religious ideas. So there are television channels, radio stations, and even print media that advocates religion. Sometimes, di ba class, you can also see people who are giving leaflets or booklet from house to house, di ba? Just to share their religion or religious beliefs. So, and because of internet class and different websites, okay, religion epitomizes the definition of globalization due to the fact that it can be spread more easily and efficiently through the use of different media. So, it only means to say, class, that the access to any religion will not be impossible because of the rise of technology. Okay? So it is very easy to share your religion or your ideas, di ba? In just a one click of your gadget. So it is an example of sharing the word of God that even in times of pandemic, just like what we are experiencing right now, there are still ways on how to spread religious ideas and the gospel. Okay, so it is like impossibility will never be a definition of technology today. Okay, here as you can see, this is actually an example, okay, of how some religious group, okay, celebrated or spread their religious ideas through using social media. So it is now possible for any religion to spread beyond national borders, allowing even small religious movements to engage in overseas activities and leading to new unseen religious developments. Okay, so through the social media, it is really easy to spread your religion and your religious beliefs and ideas. So that's it for today, class. These are my references. Okay. If you have clarifications or questions, you can message me. Okay. So that you can ask me kung meron man kayong tanong. Okay. So that will be the end of our discussion about the globalization of religion. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you in our next synchronous session.